Hello, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the Alfa Romeo 182 as requested by a couple of the viewers on the YouTube. So in front of us we've got the 177, 177 that we reviewed the other day, but now we're going to move on to the 182. Now we know the 177 wasn't very successful. Was the 182 any better? In truth, no, not really. If you have a look, you'll see that most of their results, especially for Cesares, were DNFs for pretty much the whole start of the season. But the 182, I think, did start to see Alfa Romeo look to sort of change some of their design philosophies and things like that. For example, midway through the season, they did trial a turbocharged V8, replacing the V12 that's in this variant. The V12 produced about 540 brake horsepower, which is on par with a lot of the other cars of that era. It was probably more powerful than the DFVs that were on their way out. I think the DFV would be replaced by the DFY in 1982. The Tyrrell would be the last car, I think, to win with a DFV, and then the DFY they would win with the year after, I think, and I think that was it for the Cosworth engines, essentially, until turbocharging and things like that really kicked off. But anyway, yeah, Alfa Romeo 182. So there was two drivers, De Cesares, and I've already forgotten who the other driver was. I think it was Giacomelli. I think he stayed on from the 177 all the way to the 182. Interestingly, there were two cars sponsored by Marlboro in 1982, the McLarens, which had more success than the Alfa Romeos. I do think the red on this Alfa Romeo is too dark. It should be a bit more orange and fluorescent. So that is a little bit of a miss by this Partwork series. It is a very simple design, and one could be tempted to strip it and find some new decals online and redo this car. It wouldn't be too difficult to do. I think you could also add quite a bit of detail to this. So on the back here, these are just painted. They're textured and they're indents, but they're just painted black. You could probably drill them out, put some mesh in there, maybe even if you wanted to scratch the top of an engine to give it a little bit more depth. Again, seat belts are just stickers, which you could, if you wanted, I think, buy some photo etch sets. Interestingly, there is some actual dials, and they have been coloured slightly differently, which is different to some of the models I've seen. So that is a nice detail. I like the wheels, the fact that they've made sure we've got the silver on the rim and the spokes are coloured gold. The wings are both plastic. Some races there was no wing here, so again, if you wanted to make a variation, you could probably take these off and respray it to do one of the other cars. I will try and find the Marlboro logos to finish this design off. I am going to try and source another one though, just to do exactly what I've said, turn it into one of the other variants and maybe try and make it look a little bit more fluorescent. Interestingly, Alfa Romeo actually with the sort of ground effects, they did sort of change their car considerably at the back. It's not modelled on here to sort of show what they did, but they essentially had a half floor almost. So the rear was very different to a lot of the other teams, continued like a whole flat bottom, whilst Alfa Romeo, I think it's up to the rear axle, and then it sort of had a better improved airflow apparently. I don't know all the ins and outs and the detail of ground effects. I'm sure somebody can go into more information on that. But yeah, really nicely done little model. I'm not sure why this is the way it is. I guess it's correct. It looks like it's by deliberate, but it just looks a bit weird and not very aerodynamic for a, I don't even know what that is. Some kind of cooling device or inlet for some kind of liquid. I don't know. Very strange. Roll bar's quite nicely done actually, and it is slanted forward, which actually is correct on the real car. The mirrors do have some paint in them to make them look like they have reflectiveness. I'm trying to zoom in on the camera. There you go, you can just about see it. There is nice depth in these outlets. But yeah, overall it's a nicely done model. The suspension is correct, but obviously they put an axle through it. The car wouldn't actually have an axle like that running through it. It would just be the suspension points that you should be able to see. But from the top, the axle's hidden by that top suspension mount. It's only from the bottom that it becomes clear. Obviously, you've got the brake ducts as well. to let air in to keep the brakes cool, which is nicely detailed. It's simply detailed. You could buy a Spark and you'll probably find that it's got a lot more depth. They've probably got some texture to them, some design elements, but overall it's very nicely done. Like I said, this is a model that I may buy another if I can find one and try and turn it into a slightly different version. You can buy some decals for the old FDS white metal kits and Tamiya kits, so it's potential to be changed into something else. But yeah, really cool little model. Not one I was expecting to be able to find, because like I said, it seemed to be quite difficult, not really popping up, but we managed to score it. So yeah, awesome to have it in the collection. This is the 1982 Alfa Romeo 182. Catch you for another video soon. Cheers, bye.